by the closing opposition side is also the one given by the opening opposition side. With that having said, first of all, they are making a rehash. And all of these are already answered by the opposition, by the government side, if they are only listening to what we are saying. So now, we see that, I will go to my first of all, the first issue that I got in this debate is if there is truly a need to criminalize parents if they are suppressing the children's sexual preference. Mr. Chair, we see that in suppression, we are tampering one's right. We are tampering one's right to liberty, their right to choose, and we see that these rights are fundamental rights, meaning these rights are given to each and every individual, and each and every individual in the society should have and experience this, and the children are not exempt to this. And we see that tampering these rights is very wrong. So we see that in the status quo, we have the judiciary branch to protect human rights. We have the judiciary branch to give consequences to people who tamper people's rights. So we see the status quo parallelizing this. If murder exists, the person who committed murder is given a consequence. Is given a consequence to his action because he is tampering the person's right to life. The same as in suppression, we are tampering a person's right to liberty and a person's right to choose. So with that, we are giving the consequence of the parents' actions by criminalizing them. So in our paradigm, we are criminalizing parents because they have done something wrong, and that is suppression. But in their side, they're only solving domestic violence at the end of the day. But Mr. Chair, what is the root cause of domestic violence? First of all, it's because parents do not accept their children at the very first place, and that is why suppression exists. Suppression exists because they do not accept their children, and they want their children to change, and that is very wrong. We see that in the status quo. Be realistic, Mr. Chair. In the status quo, suppression is not given much attention as much as domestic violence. In our paradigm, we are solving the root cause of this. We are solving the root cause of domestic violence because we believe that suppression is a really grave matter that will lead to domestic violence, that will lead to domestic violence and more problems that will detriment the society as a whole. So we see that which paradigm is better? The one who is sticking to the status quo and only correcting domestic violence, or in our side where we solve the root cause, and therefore stopping domestic violence to exist as well. So for my second issue, where is family better off? We see that the parents' duty is to take care and provide the needs of their children and the family as a whole. It's the parents' duty to guide and support their children. And most of all, it is the parents' duty to accept their children and be the very first ones to fight for their rights. We see that in suppressing the rights of these children, suppressing the choice of these children of being a homosexual, that the parents are not upholding their duty at the end of the day. It's their parents' duty to guide and correct the children's mistakes. But you see that there is nothing wrong with being a homosexual. Being a homosexual is not a mistake, and that is conceded by the opposition side. But Mr. Chair, even the opposition side saying that they're okay with homosexuality, that they accept the homosexuals, why do they think that suppression is okay? Why do they still think that it's okay to suppress children if they are homosexual at the end of the day? But you see that they are backlashing. You sit down, they're backlashing their stand of accepting homosexuality at the end of the day. We see that. So we see that. Why do we allow parents to suppress their children at the very first place if in their paradigm they think that being a homosexual is okay? So summarizing all of this, we see that if you allow parents to suppress their children, the parents are not doing their duty at the end of the day. They are not upholding their responsibility of being the ones who should be the very first ones to accept and fight for their children's right. So lastly,
see,
yes.
when you're homosexual, homosexual and your parents try to stop you from being too showy in your clothes because they just want you to be safe from discrimination, don't you think tampering the right is already legitimate? When you're a homosexual and your parents try to stop you from being too showy with your clothes because they just want you to be safe from discrimination, don't you think tampering the right to choose is already legitimate?
Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, with that having said, we see that the parents do not the parents, yes, they accept their children, but we see that the family, we see that it is very different because they are talking about family, but because they are falsing in the society. But and I will answer that with my last issue, which is as to whose paradigm will affect the society better. We see that the family is the basic unit of the society, and if these parents show that they truly accept their children for who they are, if the parents who are the very first ones to accept and fight for the right of their children, we see that we are creating a family full of acceptance. We are creating a family who accepts homosexuality at the end of the day. And having said that, the family is the basic unit of the society, and having said that the family is the one that composes the society as a whole, we see that if these things that compose the society already have acceptance in them, we see that we are creating a society which promotes acceptance to these homosexuals, and we're creating a society where discrimination is not present at the end of the day. And with all these things, we believe that in this debate, Ateneo will win.
I thank the government whip. I now call on opposition whip to end this debate.
Mr. Chair, parents have the responsibility to provide their children the following things: life, shelter, clothes, food, water, and more water. But most importantly, Mr. Chair, what they need to give a child are the following: trust, moral support, and love, because these are the foundation of a child's development. But Mr. Chair, when a child tells their parents, "Mom, Dad, I'm a lesbian and I'm loving it," what would be their initial reaction? Their initial reaction would not be, "Wow, that's wonderful, keep going." But Mr. Chair, we believe that their natural reaction of normal parents would be this: "What happened?" Because it is in the nature of parents to see that their children will actually get the best decisions at the end of the day. And in my speech, I will prove to you why the opposition side's model is actually better compared to theirs. Now, before I proceed to my issues, Claire, sit down. Before I proceed to my issues, let me first rebut what the previous speaker has said. She said that we have actually the same arguments as that of the opening opposition. But Mr. Chair, we actually believe that our arguments are different. It's different. Why? Because we actually look at a bigger perspective. We look at the perspective of children. We look at the perspective of family and parents. And we look at the perspective of the society. And we not only focus on the benefits of this not criminalizing them in a certain lens. Now, she also said that we tamper individuality when we do not criminalize these parents when they try to suppress their children. So, Mr. Chair, we believe that suppression is not equal from hindering a child to progress, because suppression is actually an expression of opinions, which therefore is a way of parents to actually guide and protect these vulnerable children who, by the way, can make irrational decisions at the end of the day. And
Before you proceed,
yes,
in the qualities you have given, trust, moral support, and love, where does suppression come in?
like I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair, suppression is not equal to hindering a child to progress. We do not hinder a child to become someone who he wants to be. Like, for example, he wants to be a doctor. We do not hinder them from becoming someone who he wants to be at the end of the day. But we just believe that suppression is a way to actually express their protection and their guidance to these children, because parents to react negatively to their child's decision that can potentially harm them. Because choices of children, Mr. Chair, at the end of the day, need guidance and support. Now, when they are guided at the end of the day, when they are protected from their own decisions that can potentially harm them, then they achieve their highest potential. Now, why is highest potential so important at the end of the day? Because when we have progress within ourselves, we spread that progress outside of ourselves, therefore making the society a better place to live in. Therefore, we become better and more productive member of the society. Second, family values versus liberation. Now, the opposition side believes that family values are taken for granted by their proposal. Why? Because children appear superior to their parents. Therefore, children can do whatever they want, whenever they want, without them being sanctioned at the end of the day. The government side seems to present us a model that is only beneficial for children and for freedom of children at the end of the day. But we believe that these parents, although they have the authority over us, they also have rights to be upheld, and their model does not uphold any of those rights. Now, children, how is too much liberation of children actually bad for the society? Now, children are part of the vulnerable sections of these children are part of the vulnerable sectors of the society. Therefore, they're not rational enough and may make the wrong choices. Now, these parents should come into action, should therefore guide them and protect them from their own decisions. Now, to my third issue, criminalizing versus sticking to the status quo. The opposition side believes that it is better to stick to the status quo. Why? What are the benefits that the status quo provides? Number one, we already have enough standards to criminalize a parent who is actually causing harm, i.e. abuse or etc. Now, suppression is merely an expression of opinions and what they think is the best for their children. Therefore, when we suppress these children, we do not actually hinder them from achieving their individuality, their chosen individuality, but rather we are actually promoting individuality of their children at the end of the day by not dampening these parents' rights at the end of the day. When we add more to these standards, we already give children too much freedom and at the same time dampen parental rights, which is a huge shame on their part to not have noticed that. Now, second, when we criminalize them, we do not recognize these parents' strategies to raise their children. It is a parental instinct to know whether or not a child is developing properly. Now, children need different kinds of approaches. Therefore, these parents should not rely on merely other things such as that. And we're not saying that homosexuality is bad and should be openly condemned. We're just recognizing the parents' responsibility to guide and to protect. Because children, like I said earlier, are included in the most vulnerable sector of the society. Therefore, they may be victims of their own decisions, which at the end of the day, we lead to a greater harm. Now, we need parents to protect us from our own decisions because when we are entitled to their guidance and to their protection, we achieve our highest potential and we therefore achieve our individuality at the end of the day. Now, to summarize my speech, Mr. Chair, we believe that not criminalizing attempts of parents to suppress their children's homosexuality is not a hindrance towards achieving a child's individuality at the end of the day. Because, Mr. Chair, we believe that at the end of the day, these parents will actually have rights as well, which the government side fails to recognize because they always focus on the rights and the freedom of choice of children, which, by the way, too much freedom will actually cause these parents to lose authority over their children, which therefore will lead to too much liberation, which at the end of the day will harm the society in a bigger picture. Now, at the end of the day, we believe that freaking cup is ours, and I swear to God, I will make this 7 minutes count. And by that, I end.
I thank the opposition whip. Please cross the house.